jungle.
Hi and welcome to another podcast with Christian Hoyle, and it's a great conversation this week with Basie van Heerden. Did I get it right?
No.
No.
You did well for an English guy. It's Basie van Heerden. You can, but it's close enough. Or you can just call me Gray with Glass if you want to.
I have got a good excuse when I say how we know each other, so I have got an excuse.
Yeah.
How do you pronounce your name again?
Basie.
Basie. Basie.
Yeah, like let's say like Marcy, a girl's name, but only a B instead of an M and without the R.
Basie.
That's it. 100%.
Okay, so I just want to introduce Basie. So I started my YouTube channel in August, and I'm not too sure when Basie started to watch my videos, but ever since I've done it, I don't know when you started, but you started making comments to my videos, and it's got to the stage with me that if you haven't made a comment, I ain't done a video that's worthwhile, and I'm waiting to see what you say. So that just thought, you put all these words of wisdom in, so I wanted to do this with you. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thanks. I think it's about October or November that I started watching your channel. Maybe October.
Yeah, and I started it in August, and obviously, I think I'm about 37 videos, and I just got off my best mate. I just rang me 10 minutes before, and I said, "Oh, I'm doing this podcast," and this is what he just said to me. He went, "Yeah, I've watched your last ones. I think they're really good. You're much better at that than you are at the videos."
That was rude of me.
No,
but I meant
no, not you. My friend said it about me.
Yeah, no, but I really believe that you are doing well nowadays. You've got a new enthusiasm, and you up and about the whole time. That's very good.
It's an interesting thing taking something new on, isn't it? That you are.
Yes.
This isn't new. Talking is what I'm really good at. You know, making videos is a bit like not being able to, I'd describe it as how I learned to swim. My sister pushed me in. Literally, I was at the deep end in Baths in Manchester. She pushed me in. I learned how to swim quite quick. Making videos, I kept, at the beginning of it, they say that you should just start. But it's constant self-esteem. You know, you're watching, you know, you make videos as well, don't you?
Well, to be quite honest, I started off with glorified PowerPoint shows, the slideshows, which I record the voice, and then I put a sort of a slideshow together, and then I called it a video. But this year I'm starting with videos. I've already done one in Afrikaans, and I've got two in the pipeline for Grey with Glasses.
So grey with glasses signifies, and you always describe yourself as an old man. This is your description, not mine.
Yeah, but it's true.
Yeah. So I'm 43.
I know, I'm 69. It's
69.
quite a bit of difference, yes.
Yeah. So
it's
go on.
bad.
I know that you're from, because other than you've always commented, I've been waiting for this for ages because I've grown like a fondness of you. I think you've wrote some pretty nice things that are only little sentences, but at a time when no one was writing anything, you were the only one writing something. And it's still not loads of people writing now, but you made me feel good.
I'm glad to hear that, and it didn't. I didn't have to fake it or anything. I meant every word that I said. Like I said, you really did improve. I like your new style, and I think your content shifted a little bit from in the beginning where you wanted to how shall I put it? It sounded like you're trying to give advice, or while you were giving advice, but it sounded like you. But nowadays, it sounds like it comes from your heart. You mean what you're saying, and the newfound energy that you have is quite thrilling. It's or what do you call it when a person has an illness and then it contagious. It's very contagious.
Oh, that is kind. I feel like I'm always the same person, but it was something new. I had no idea. Like, I still don't have mega ideas. I'm trying to get new ideas off people, but podcast going forward with this, I love this because I enjoy. I was the same person before, but I think I've got more confidence, and I think confidence grows, and you sort of. I don't know. It's been an absolute whirlwind of finding out about yourself because I was scared of other people. Like, this is me. You're talking to me. The videos are all me, but the sort of parts of me that I maybe don't show anyone else. And it's when you show people the other side of you that's quite a scary thing to get into.
Yeah, true. No, true. But
So I'm interested. Tell me, it's like, because obviously I'm British. I have been to
yes,
Africa, but tell me about growing up in South Africa.
it was tough in the days that I grew up. South Africa uh, was then a very poor country. It still is.
I just lost you a little bit then. I lost you on
All
there.
the people I knew, sorry, all the people that I knew were poor. My father was a mine worker for a time. And yeah, it was interesting growing up in those days. It was a lot freer in a sense than today, although today maybe there's more money going around, but in those days there was not a lack of anything. It was pre-TV and of course no cell phones, and radio was, if you had a radio, you were sort of amongst the elite, you know. And I loved radio and I loved reading a lot, a huge lot. And not many of the people that I knew did that, which is a shame because I think the more you read, the more you grow.
Yeah,
The more you know, the more you grow.
yeah. And Audible. Do you ever listen to him, to books? Are you at the stage of listening to him? Well,
Sorry,
have you heard of Audible? Yeah. So I listen to my books. I put my headphones in, and then it's someone reading the book.
Oh, yes, yes. I know about that. And maybe it's something, a sign of my age that I'm trying to duck out of new technology. But I prefer, I don't spend much time in the car, for instance, and I don't run like you do.
You seem to
I
read.
tend to read a lot. Um, when I was still working, I sat in the train with my Kindle and went through quite a lot of books that way.
Okay.
But yeah, I wrote systems for computers, anything from library systems to for farmers that they can check on the cattle, you know, have a family history and how they perform, all kinds of stuff. I worked on a mine for a couple of years where it's a completely different environment, different the programming techniques and stuff, but it's very nice. I had a very good life with that.
Would you say I'm interested? Have you had a very good life? Are you looking now at
Yeah,
69 and you're thinking I've had a great life?
yes. In fact, last night I talked with a friend in Australia, and we said that we tend to think back on our lives at present. And yes, one is inclined to think of the good times, but there were bad times as well. And but everything that happens to you during your life sort of tends to make you what you are at present.
Yeah, totally.
So good and bad, take it as it is. Of
I
course,
wouldn't
always
take I wouldn't take any of the bad back. Everything
no,
bad that's ever happened to me, I wouldn't ever
yeah,
not have it happen again. Other than obviously my mum dying, I'd rather have my mum being alive or other people being alive. But everything
yes,
that was personal happened to me, mistakes to me, consequences of my actions or other people, I'd not change any of them because they're what made me today.
that's true. What she and I talked about is things that we did that hurt other people.
Ah,
In
I've done lots of
retrospect,
them.
we would like to have changed that, but not bad things that happened to us because, like
Yeah.
you said, that's what made you what you are today. But hurting other people, yeah, I feel bad about that. She said she started um, contacting people and say, "Do you remember 40 years ago, I said this to you, and I'm so sorry I did this." And she says, "Normally I say, what? I can't remember that. It just happened. So don't worry about it. It didn't change my life, and it does make her feel better. And that encourages her to keep on doing it." Uh, I personally don't have the courage to do that. Phoning up somebody and saying, "Well, you you remember that time somebody threw a stone through your window or whatever? That
Yeah.
was me." And I don't think I'll do that.
I've got a couple of thing like not loads. I've done obviously done things to people in my younger years. I had a bit of a I had a bit of a funny start, and I wasn't always the person I am now, but I have been for the majority of the time. But I've got two things that I am gonna approach two people. I'm not gonna say what they are now because they're very personal, and they're just things that I did that were wrong. One was when I was 15, and one not mega wrong. They were just things, and I see these two people a lot. One was to someone I don't know, but I see him, and I just want to stop him and say, "Listen, that thing that happened." I just every time I see him, I feel like I should apologize, and I never do. And there's another one as well, and I feel I have to bring them. For me, like what you said, when she rang them up, they didn't remember.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
It may be the
Most of it,
same, but it's important to me a lot, like crazily. Funny that.
yeah, yeah. No, well, if you feel that you have to, then do it. There's nothing to lose in it, especially like you said, you don't really know the guy except from seeing him. Do it.
I
Uh,
am doing it. I actually had already thought about it, but I am doing it. Right, I've got a question for you. I brought some questions down for you. This is a good question. Some of the questions I write down, they're not. I'll be honest. I'm not bright enough to come up with them. I look at other people's questions and I think, wow, what a good question that is. This is a good question. Can you tell me about a person who has been the kindest to you in your whole life?
um, I was fortunate that there were quite a few people. One was my grandmother, and why I mention her is not. She was not kind in the sense that you stub your toe and she said, "Oh, shame, let me kiss it better," or stuff like that. She would say, "Let's see, no blood, carry on." Which in itself is also a kindness. If you pamper somebody too much, they don't learn.
Hmm.
And I do remember that. Of course, my mother uh, was quite the same, although she used to speak a bit loud to me at times, when needed. I once lived with a guy that was homosexual when I was between about 21 and 24, I think. I didn't know about that, and it never bothered me when I found out. But
Was because in that age was probably something that was not spoken about because I don't know about South Africa, but I know it was illegal in the UK. But also, I've been to Malawi in the last 3 years, and it's still a crime there now.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
I can't remember it being a crime then, but it was very much frowned upon. And unfortunately, you always get people that sort of they just look for trouble. They want to fight people
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. That's bad. That's bad. But this guy, in the time that I lived with him, he taught me such a lot, and he was really kind to me. He taught me small things like uh, he taught me to drink wine, which sounds bad, but I don't mean it bad. He taught me to not drink, but to sort of taste the wine and why a glass or maybe two with lunch or dinner or whatever, why it's a good thing. And he also broadened my music. Um, I listened to more types of music because of him and stuff like that. It's somebody that I'll never forget. He's dead now for about I think 30 years or something. But I can't. I will never forget him.
I have one. It made me think of mine. Like I'm lucky as well. I've had a lot of kind people to me, but like in the change of me. So when I was a kid, all I remember of being a kid, we lived in a. I'm off to. It's funny enough. I'm going to I live in a part of the UK. It's about. You've heard of Manchester because it's Manchester
Yes, yes,
United. Because
yes.
everyone.
Yes.
So I was from a part of Manchester. So that's where I grew up, and we grew. We was a bit disadvantaged where we were, and all I remember was I was slightly chubby. And I used to, all I remember is when it came to sport, I was the last picked and I was in nets. That's all I remember because I wasn't keen. And when I was
Yeah.
9, I moved to a different place, which you'll be interested in the name in Manchester. I moved to Ramsbottom, it's called. That's what the area is called,
Yes.
Ramsbottom.
Yes.
So I went there, and there was a one teacher called Mr. Jackson. I mean, I've tried to contact him since. He changed my whole life. I don't even know if he meant this, but he took this little. I wouldn't say if I was chubby and I wasn't sport related. He got me from being not into sport to being in every single team in the school. I was in the football team, running to every team. And that exercise and getting me into keeping fit, the exercise is what has kept me happy. No matter what's gone on in my life, I've always exercised. It's always had the same effect where it creates a positive feeling inside. And it's a way of dealing with lots of different things. And that kindness he showed me, about 3 years ago, I did 100 random acts of kindness and wanted one of them to find him and give him a gift, but I couldn't find him. So I'd love it if someone heard this and they had a teacher called Mr. Jackson in Ramsbottom in 1986 to 89. But yeah, he was one of the that kindness wasn't. I was just his pupil, and I was probably just one of 30, and he didn't know how much he affected the rest of my life because that changed.
Yeah. Yeah. I think those people are the greatest who maybe unintentionally affect you. And you mentioned maybe something small that he did for you personally. I mean, I assume that he would have done it for the group, but you felt that okay,
Well,
he did something for me personally,
I, I,
and
I just
it
felt
would have
maybe.
been
Do you
nice.
know what? Do you know what I did think he did? My first podcast I did with a guy called John Michael Morgan. He's good at giving people belief in themselves, and I think that's what Mr. Jackson did. I think this is so important. I think he gave me belief to believe that I wasn't the last picked and I wouldn't be in nets because I went from that to quite a good standard. I went from that to winning. I was winning everything, so I've gone from
Yeah,
last to winning just because of belief, and maybe because I got better when I tried it more and I did more. But I believed in myself, and I think if you that's most thing. What's the difference between failure and success is believing in yourself.
yes, yes. In fact, just about 2 hours ago, I was checking my email and also quickly just went into Facebook. I'm not a great Facebook fan, but there are stuff that I just checked, and I found a picture that is apparently hanging somewhere at NASA. Um, it's a bee, but not from the front, from the sting side of the bee. And you see this chubby little bee with all the nice colors and small little wings like that. And the legend is that uh, scientifically or aerodynamically, the bee is not supposed to can fly because
Yes.
it's massive and
Yeah.
very small wings. But nobody told the bee, so he's flying.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that's nice. So there's a lesson to be learned in that.
Yes. See, this is the kind of thing why you're here because your little snippets like this, the wisdom that you've put in, I've, I, there was you didn't comment on a video about 4 videos ago. I worried about you. I genuinely thought, what is it? Not about you not watching my video. I thought he comments on every one. Is he all right? So I went back to find you in one of your videos, if you noticed.
Yeah, I remember that. And to be honest, I think I'm 2 videos behind with you
Oh
at the
yeah.
moment because I've been very busy the last week or so. My wife has been ill and at home, and there was a lot of going to the doctors and the hospital. And
Listen, I'm only making an
uh,
observation about me. You know what I mean? It wasn't you. You'd be busy and all that. It was just a thing.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's quite random that you can. I've never met you, but you were in my mind. We'd never met. You'd only wrote some things on videos, but you were in my mind of something to check in on. But it's strange. You're all them miles away from me, and I did that. It's a strange world when that happens. The energies, and you mentioned it in the last comment about energies, that I felt your energy, and I wanted to connect with it again, and I just think it's mad. I think that's mad.
Yes. Speaking about energy, I wasn't doing research so that I can talk to you. It just happened on the same Facebook that I looked at, that somebody attributed it to not Jackie Chan. Who was the other guy that did the kung fu?
Bruce Lee.
The first guy. Sorry.
Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee. Exactly. That he said one should not even jokingly say something negative about yourself, because he believes that even words have energy. And your body doesn't know that you're actually just making a joke. It sees, hey, wait, there's a lot of negative energy in what he just said. And you sort of absorb the negative energy.
I agree.
So one should always even talk positively, because in the end it uplifts you.
You are what you say, and you become.
Yes.
If you keep, and that's like I'm going to throw this out. When I started doing the videos, I just didn't have a purpose. Like when you said, I didn't have a mission what I was doing. I just started doing it. Now I'm sort of seeing what I like. I really enjoy doing this. I enjoy chatting to people a lot, and I'm going to persist in doing it. And I'm telling myself I'm good enough to do it, and I'm good enough to take it forward. Because if I don't, I don't have anyone else. I'm in a big building on my own, because we're in lockdown, obviously, in the UK. So, often we're alone, and sometimes if you're lucky to have a coach, you get someone who'll big you up, and that's their purpose. Or I don't have a mum who would have bigged me up. You know what I mean? You miss that out. So you have to find it in here. This is the person, this bit.
Yes, true.
Well, I've got another question for you anyway. Another question. Tell me about what your happiest memory is.
I sang in a lot of choirs over the years, from the age of 8 until I think the last time I was something like 58. But the one choir in particular sort of became, it was more than just, okay, having a singing and performing and whatever. It's the people in the choir became sort of family. And it became a place to go when I feel bad, because just by singing, not by talking really, I will get uplifted. And of course, music always has got medicinal value, And the lady that phoned me last night from Australia, she was a prominent member of the choir. And so it's been, 1978. That's quite a lot of years.
I was born in 77.
That's a while ago.
I've actually, I love singing. I'm not a very good singer. I was with one of my friends yesterday. He likes to tell me that I'm tone deaf. And it was quite ironic. He said I was the worst karaoke singer that he'd ever seen in his life. Funnily enough, he's 2 years younger than you, he is, Bill. And I went, I'm not the worst, definitely not. And he went, you are. And he had his grandson with him. So I'm going, I'm not saying I'm good, but I'm not the worst. He goes, you are the worst. I went, I had a random bit of karaoke. I did it with my daughter, and I knew it was on my Instagram. So I got it up. And I'm never going to say I'm brilliant, but my daughter was immense. I put it on because my daughter did this little, I was singing and she'd do the chorus. Oh my God, it makes you want to cry. It's so special. But I played it to him. But I love the thing. I love singing. I love it. It just makes you feel good.
Yes. And what I liked about choir singing is because I know that I don't have a good voice. But in a choir, that doesn't matter. It's how you blend with the other guys. How do you blend in? And then together, it's like being an orchestra. You can't make an orchestra with just a violin or just a piano. They can play together, apart, but it sounds so good in an orchestra. And it's the same with the choir.
There's a famous African choir that was part of it was big in the UK. It was part of a film, was it? I can't remember. I loved it. Do you know the one I mean?
Uh,
Famous. I think it's South
might
African.
be Ladysmith, Black
Yes.
Mombasa.
Yes. I loved that. It was a Walt Disney film. They were in a Walt Disney film, weren't they? Love that.
I
Oh, I love it. Makes
remember
you
that.
feel good.
Yeah. Now they harmonized very well. And unfortunately, their leader died about, I think, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. And I won't say that they declined, but one doesn't hear about them so much anymore.
Yeah.
Partly because the young people say, "Nah, that's old music. Old folks, only old folks listen to it. There's no beat, you know."
I think
But
there's.
it's lovely music. In
I,
fact, Simon from Simon and Garfunkel,
love him.
he used them in one of the albums that he made. Now I can't remember the bloody name. Sorry, I didn't mean to. But and it worked very well.
Yeah, I love Simon Garfunkel. I love all music. I think that when you said that about younger people not liking that, when I
Yes,
was young, that's when I heard that choir. So any music can find a way if
yeah,
someone lets it in. So it was a Walt Disney film, so you all get let in then. But I think that people put barriers up for what they like. Oh, I don't like that. I'm not into that. Before they've
yes,
given it a go, they put judgments in. So they place the
yes.
judgment. If you can go through your life without a judgment, and I'm learning to say, I mean, I'm a yes guy. So until I get too busy, like next week, I've got a mate. He's going to come to where I live, and we're going to go open water swimming, and it's freezing cold, and he wants to do some kind of water ceremony. And he asked me, I don't want to do it. And do you know what I said? I said, yes. I
Yeah,
really don't want to do it. I really don't want to go into it. But he wants me to. And how do I know I'm going to feel about it until I've done it? I'm
true.
pretty sure I'm not going to like it. Will I enjoy the day?
Yeah,
Yes. Because I've got fear in it. I'm fearing it. I'm thinking, I've got, I've sort of got thoughts on doing it and whatnot. Um, so yeah, I'm doing it. So yeah, I've turned into the yes. So I think if anyone's listening, you be a yes. Too many people say no, I don't like that. They don't even know what it is.
yes, yes. Now I try to listen to music from all over the world, but I must admit there are what people call music that I don't like. I don't like rap because
Do
to
you?
me it's not
I like
music.
it.
It's just a rhythm and swearing at your mother and swearing at your father and whatever. I don't like it.
See, I love it, but there's a new thing called there's rap. So I'm into rap. There's a new thing called drill music. Have you heard that yet?
No?
Drill music. It's it's moved on from rap, and
Yes.
it is got rap in it, but it's like a new sound. And I find it because when I was with my son in Australia, they had it on all the time. It's actually depressing. The noise of it's always murky and sad and but not some sad music makes you feel good. So the sadness opens up and you feel drill music makes I don't know. I'm not into that, so maybe that's a sign of me getting older as well.
Yeah, one does change with time.
I know. I've noticed the changes myself,
And,
which are
and
all positive.
yeah, one should stay positive. You mentioned sports and that you participated. I can tell you this, your body changes as well.
Yeah,
30, when I was 30, I had to work twice as hard on squash as I
I
used to
play
work when I was
squash.
29.
I play squash. I love
Yeah,
squash.
good. That's
Yeah, I love
it's
it. It's a brilliant game.
gives you a lot of a lot of losing sweat in a very short time if you do
Yes,
it right.
intense.
Yeah.
Bad for injuries.
Yeah.
I've had a knee not a reconstruction of my ACL, and I was injured for like 3 years. I couldn't play, and I've
Oh,
done
yeah.
some injury. I've done some. I've touch wood. I've never done a big one, but I've had some knocks on the
Nichols.
wall. Yeah, some little ones, and I've seen a couple of But that's the risk we take in life, you know. If you're going to enjoy, I like going up mountains as well, and I don't want to fall off one of them, so I wouldn't like to see if I'd done that.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, I've got another question. All the ones have been pretty positive focused, but I find that sometimes not everything has to be positive to get positive. So let's see with this one. So tell me about what's been your most difficult memory. Your most difficult memories.
Well, like I said, off late, I tend to remember things that I did wrong a long time ago. People that I've wronged. And I sort of can't go into the detail of that, but
Same.
it sometimes really literally keeps me awake at night. You know, I did this to this person, and it's not like throwing stones through a window. I never did that, but saying something wrong to my brother, or um, forgetting something which was very important to remember actually, and hurting somebody in that process. It's not nice. So there are a few. There's not one big major negative thing that I can remember, but lots of small ones, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's a good thing. So when I wrote the question, it made me think like, so in 2005, my mum got this pain in her back, and within 6 weeks
Yes.
she died. So it was a really short because it was cancer.
Yeah.
So one side of me is like, it's a really bad memory, obviously, isn't it? Because my mum was ill and she died and she left. But the other side of it is that I had an amazing time with her because we knew we only had so much left together. So we could
Yeah.
say everything we'd never said, and we could. It was like, yeah, it's a bad memory, but I had an amazing experience because I had to have that experience, and it's a blessing that, you know, like someone else I know might have lost someone suddenly. You don't get that opportunity. You know what I mean?
True.
That opportunity was a special moment for me, and it made me. I think about it all the time. You know, like I imagine you still think of your own mum, and you're 69.
Yeah, and when you're 20 or 23, you feel as strong as a horse, and healthy as a horse, strong as an ox. So much courage as a lion, but that changes. So yeah, one, like I said previously, one should make most of what you have as long as you can. It's an old adage, but never be um, sorry, never say, I wish I had done that. It's better to say, okay, I wish I didn't do that.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't have this experience because, oh, well, I fell off the roof or whatever. But at least you try. If you get hurt trying something, it's better than never trying
Yeah.
it.
Well, as a follow on to that, I said to my mum, I said because she knew she was dying, and it was like really strange that if the only thing we have to worry about is dying, because that's true, isn't it? Because we're born and we're definitely going to die. But when you're going
Yes.
to die, Mother Nature takes over, and you're like the only one who could accept that she was dying was my mum. She was all right about it, losing her life at 50. She was all right. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so I said to her then, I said, what do you wish you didn't do in your life? And she went, it's not anything that I did do, but I've got so many things that I wish I did do. And that's
Yes.
exactly what you just said. And nothing, she'd had some real bad things happen to her. She didn't regret
Yeah.
any of them. But like one of them is, I'm going to go to Hawaii for her. She said, I wish I'd gone to Hawaii. I always wanted to. I'm going to Hawaii for her. I said it, I agreed it at the time, but I don't know if my mum, she was quite a quietish woman, and maybe she missed a lot of opportunities by not doing them. And I suppose I want to do the opposite. I want to do all the opportunities that I can, and please let them keep coming to me because I'm happy to, happy to keep them going.
Yeah. It's you're keeping the door open for opportunity. Doesn't need to knock. It's already open. You just got to grab you by the collar and take you along. That's good.
But give you an example. My last podcast, which was this week, I was on a Facebook group. Someone wrote a comment. I said what he wrote. I thought I love that. I wrote something back. He instantly responded. Wow, I love what he responded. I responded back. By the fourth comment, I put, shall we do a Zoom? And he said, yeah. Within 5 minutes of being on Facebook, someone I've never met in my life, I don't even know him and I are doing 1 hour Zoom session. He lives in
Sure.
America. Then
Yeah.
we arrange the next. Oh, the next. If you, it's on there. It's a guy called Jevon. We do a podcast the next day. We think the same, and we had this amazing experience because we let it happen. So I
Yeah.
hope with the podcasts, because I'm someone who's, I'll ask anyone because all I want to do is spread good energy between people. Not everyone
Yes.
wants that, and not everyone will want to be on because they'll think what's in it for them, and it might not be enough. Maybe if I grow, they'll all want me, and I'll maybe be saying no. But at the minute, I try and connect as many people as I can because we connected. We felt good energy between us. That's a positive experience for both our lives.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, you're 43. It's very important. Like you said, you connected and you became friends within a very short time. That's a very, very good thing. When you're at my age, you don't have many friends left.
Yeah.
And, yeah, but
I
one of
don't
the big,
laugh at people being gone, but I understand, as you get
yeah,
older.
but it's also because right through life you grow, or rather you should grow. And then you end up by not knowing many people that think like you do, or feel like you do, or
Yeah.
like the same stuff. Not that people should always like exactly the same stuff, but there should be a overlap at least, so that you can have something to talk about. Not only the differences, but something common. And keep it up. Make friends in 5 minutes. That's a record for me almost. But yeah, keep it up.
Do you remember my video how I dealt with rejection when I got turned down for being a telephone befriender of someone who was bedbound? Well, I got it. Just before this thing, I did my call. So he's a guy called David. I'm absolutely loving it. At the end of that call, I thank him for the call because I got just as much as what he did. He's telling me stories about traveling the world. He told me before he met Margaret Thatcher.
Oh yeah,
He knew that he met the Queen Mum and stuff like that. I'm now talking to a guy who's giving me insights. He lived in Pakistan, he lived in Greece, he's lived in all these places, and I find that was an opportunity that I took, and I'm getting a lot from it. I hope that he's getting a lot from it, but it's about connecting them. Let things connect, or they just shrivel away, don't they?
yeah, true, true,
We connected. I've got another one now. So for future generations, this is because you are a wise man. You know that, don't you? You come up with a lot of wisdom. I am putting you under the cosh by asking you to be wise in a second without giving you the information before. So you're still impressing me. So, is there any wisdom you'd want to pass on to people that you'd want them to know? So if you were at a time you were going to go and you had to leave like a time capsule, and the people were going to open it, and you wanted to give them some wisdom, what would that wisdom be?
make the most of the time that you have. Do not waste it. Thinking back on things that I did and opportunities that I had, I wasted most of my life, or rather, it feels like that. I have the things like the choir singing. I did sports and whatever. I did not travel enough. I've been in England once only in 1979.
Oh, you've been
Before
here. Where
you
did you go?
um, we were in London, I think, for about 8 or 9 days. No, sorry, we were in England for about 8 or 9 days. We were in London for 3 or 4 days. Then we went down to Cardiff,
Right.
and I have a photo of me and some of the other choir members sitting in front of the old Cardiff Arms Park.
No way.
And that was just before they tore it down. They
Wow.
built a new stadium just next to it.
It's a
Now,
Millennium Stadium now, I think.
gathered
Millennium.
that since then they even tore the old one down and built an even bigger and newer stadium there.
Yeah. So it's Millennium. I think it's Millennium Stadium. I'm bad at remembering stuff, but there's one before because they play the rugby nations there because it's big. Rugby's massive in Wales.
Yeah. Rugby and singing. we were the guests of the rugby club, and so we watched the game between Cardiff and London, which Cardiff won, and then we all went to the pub,
Yeah.
and
It's not like the British to be in the pub.
enough. Sorry.
It's not like the British to be in the pub. We hardly ever go to the pub.
I can't remember, but in the club's pub. But I remember after some encouragement, they started singing, and boy, those Wales can sing.
Yes.
They're very good at it. That was nice. We also did a bit of singing, but it doesn't compare.
A lot of Welsh choirs. Yeah. My nan was Welsh, so I've got like my nan. It's quite interesting. My nan was Welsh, but she lived in Manchester. And when she died, we got invited to I knew she was Welsh, so we went to this Welsh party. She was one of 12 brothers and sisters. I was walking around this room and I was like, wow, you must be my nan's sister. And she'd go, who's your nan? And I'd go, Lorena. Oh, you're Lorena. She's my oldest sister. And I'm looking at these people who look just like her, but my nan didn't really have a Welsh accent because she left there when she was 18. So I've always had that, you know.
Yeah.
Because my nan was Welsh. I've got that in my bloodline as well, you know, sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, sorry, I want to just mention that from there we went to badminton. And from badminton we spent the night in the Bart's hometown, Stratford-on-Avon. And then I think we went back to the... So, but I would dearly have loved, or should have done it, go back and skip London.
Yeah. Skip most capitals. Most capitals don't reflect the country.
Yes, yes. Meeting the people makes much more sense to me than watching the architecture and the paintings and whatever. And the music I can always listen on YouTube also. But yeah, the people makes a place.
Where I'm going today, I'm not just saying it because I was originally from there, but like Manchester's the UK's second capital city, or the third. I think can't remember if it's Glasgow or Manchester. Glasgow and Manchester are very similar. Really good. You go to Manchester and you meet Mancunians. You meet people. There's a thing about the city that's cultural. It's diverse. It's friendly. It's got stuff. I'm actually I'm making a video actually. I started a video at a lake in the Lake District, and it's 90 minutes from a city. So when I go to drop my stuff off for Dylan, and the contrast, but Manchester's just got something that it's just got an energy and a feeling that it just feels good. I absolutely love it. I wish you'd gone there, so I wish you could have seen Manchester.
When I go next, I'll definitely go there. I would like to see the Lake District as well. By the way, I love your accent. I know when we first spoke, it was on Brian G. Johnson's channel. You made some comments on a video that he made. I commented on your comment.
Oh, is that how we made? Is that how we... No, is on Brian who?
Brian G. Johnson.
Yeah, he's good. He's really good.
Yes. And,
brilliant.
And then you said something about you afraid to do the videos because you have an accent. And I said, but your accent can't be as bad as mine. I'm not even English, you know.
I really like your accent. You mentioned that. I really like it.
I'm glad to hear that.
I've got a funny story, right? So, because it's new videos, I've never done a video in my life. I don't know what I'm doing. I think that I'm better at... I'd love to have someone doing it with me and they'd be going, why don't you do this? And I'm better like that. But anyway, I put this thing on a Facebook group saying, will you look at some of my videos? Give me some advice. And then this one young kid went, look, you've gone, yeah, I've looked for all your videos. I really like this. And he put loads of good stuff in. I thought, wow, I think I'm doing all right. And he finished it with this. He said, if I was going to give you, just thinking of it myself, if I was going to give you just one piece of advice, would be to work on your monotone accent. That's what he said. And I was like, oh my God. As I was pulling the he'd raised me up so much. And then I got like, drag this dagger out of my heart because I thought, I don't know the only one thing I can't change and you're giving it me.
Yeah, no. Well, I don't know when he gave you that advice, but in the meantime, you can't, or now you can't say that anymore. There's definitely, you've really soared, and it's very interesting. You
So
keep me spellbound. Bound.
we haven't got long left. So I'll give you my so South Africa. I know it. All I know is two things about. I've not been. I have been in South Africa because I flew to Malawi and we went to buy Johannesburg and I had the most amazing breakfast in the airport. So I can't really go into an airport doesn't class as being in the country in my mind. I've sort of been on the walked the surface but not seen it. But my other one is that when I used to be a teacher, and one day we were being a teacher, and I decided that we were going to everyone was going to do a presentation on someone who really meant a lot to him. Anyone you could pick, or you could do it at random. And I said, to start you off, I'll do mine at random. So I went in, and I pulled something out, and it was Nelson Mandela. And I knew nothing about him, nothing. And I did this research on him, and he just blew my mind. It's like, just a dedication. It was just the things like, I mean, I'm rubbish at stats and stuff, but when I saw that I know that there was certain things about how he went around things at first that people didn't agree with, but what I loved about him was he stood behind his beliefs more than
Yes.
anyone I've ever knew, because on 3 occasions he was asked to go against his beliefs from the prison and say that you were wrong, and he never, and he stayed in that place because of his beliefs. And I just like, I'm not from South Africa. I'm not an understanding of all the stuff that goes on, but I'm an understanding of someone who does something amazing and has. I I actually feel emotional just saying it. And when I was doing it at the time, there's not many people in the world that have given up their life for something they believe in to a point that he has. And I'm into my quotes, and I've some of the stuff that he said about since then about that like racism's always been a key and it's a massive thing in South. We're not touching on that subject, but he would always talk about he would step back from it and not accept it between anyone. It wasn't between, say, white and black, black and white. He wouldn't accept it with anyone. I just thought, as a man who's faced all he did, he still could see the good. I don't know. I found him amazing. But then I'm not, I don't know about all politics and all that kind of thing. I
Yeah.
just look at the outside.
No, I must quite agree with you. He was an amazing person, and for many reasons. One, like you said, is he had all reason to be angry
Mm,
and revengeful, and he chose not to.
I know.
Um, and I think that one of the reasons for that is that he looked into the future. Um, he must also have known that a person that um, harbors hate and revenge and whatever eventually gets physically sick from it. So
Yes.
that may be one of the reasons why he chose not to react on that. But he had a vision for the country, and that's great. And he knew that for the country to function, things like racism, which actually represents, how shall I put it now? People look at the racism, but the racism, uh, um, the outcome of racism is that there's people are rubbing each other up, and there's always angry people around, and eventually it leads to bloodshed.
Mm,
And he didn't want that. He also I think so. He also saw a future where the people working together would get somewhere and do
mm,
something and make the country something. At the moment, they don't work together. In the
mm.
past, under apartheid, they didn't work together, and that's why it's petering out. I think I've said something about the country going downhill at the moment, and for me, one of the reasons or the main reason for me is actually the fact that we, after Nelson Mandela, we did not have a leader that could get the people together, get the people
Mm,
to stand together, get the people to sort of bury the hatchet.
mm.
Uh, I mean, we won the World Rugby Cup, I think, in 1995. Nelson Mandela was there. He was on the
I
field.
remember.
He had a Springbok rugby jersey on,
I can see
and
him right now, what it looks like with the top on.
and that was despite his people uh, wanting to say, no, let's abolish the Springboks. Don't call them Springboks anymore. And he said, but wait, I'm proud of it. It's part of the nation, whether the nation was divided or not. That is sort of like an emblem for the country. Springboks are good. Let them keep the name. And up to now, that name has been kept. The cricket team and other teams were called also Springboks usually, but they're now called Proteas and whatever. But rugby, because Nelson Mandela said no, we keep it, has been kept. Now, and that's not only for the rugby that he did that. It's for the people. Like I said, he was a person that looked into the future, and it's a pity that there's no really worthy person to follow in his footsteps. And by person, I mean everybody. I'm not being a racist or whatever. There's nobody that I know of that can really do what he did.
Yeah, but he was. I don't know if this is a man thing, because I've often asked my partner about it. And it just happened to me now. Sometimes when I'm watching something that's amazing or something really touches me, I get like a euphoric shaking that goes down me. It's almost like, it's like a really warm feeling. It shakes all the way through my body. And when we talked about Nelson Mandela, I just got it. It's something that I only get, like I get it from watching a really good music. I think, God, I didn't think that was going to be that good. Or a really good performance. And that, when you talked about Nelson Mandela, because I think it as well, there was a film done of that South African World Cup. I watched that, and I know who starred in it, but I'm rubbish remembering names. I don't know if you remember. It's famous black American actor, mega famous. But anyway, I remember that, and it just gave me that feeling then that he is so rare as a person. There's probably only been so many of him in the whole lifetime. Someone who can, I think, for me, a measure of someone, if you can not be affected by those who have stood on you, and even those who've stood on you, you'll still help them up when they fall. That's a real true reflection of someone. And there's not many people in the world can do that. You know, it's an interesting thing. I've got something going on at the minute where someone's done something very bad to me, and I'm having to find strength to try and get through it and get them through it. And it's like, it's a real test. But the thing we hate and the hate and negative emotion is, the worst it's on is you. If you harbour hate, harbour dislike, it's you that's miserable and unhappy. And then if someone's beaten you twice, they've made you hate them because they did something wrong. But then you could have stopped that there and then, but you didn't. You kept it going and flowing. And that energy of hate takes over the whole of your body. And if you allow that in, it removes all the positive and all the good things. And you get left with like anger, jealousy, all them negative emotions. No, I don't have them for Nelson Mandela. They just made me feel great. As did you. I was excited about this, talking to you for the first time. I've heard your voice, and I've read your words, and it was nice to see you.
I'm glad to hear that. No, it's been a great experience for me as well.
Has it? I hope it has, but we lost that audio. I don't know. Like, I'll try and, for the YouTube, I'll be able to get rid of that bit because I'll just delete it from the video. But for my podcast, I'm just going to put it on because I really want these to grow, my podcast, because I enjoy talking to people, and I think that you can get a lot out of someone, can't you? That they didn't know that they had, or that you didn't know that they had, and next minute you get this amazing. This is great. I'm stood in this room. I'm in the basement where I am. No idea what the weather's like outside, but I've got two massive lights shining on me, so I'm so hot. I've got like a jumper on. I've absolutely loved it, Basie. Let's do back because I am dyslexic, so I make mistakes on names. You said Macy. It's like Macy, but Basie.
Basie.
Yeah, Basie. Do you want to finish on anything? You got a finishing point or anything you want to say? We're going to conclude now. We're going
to. Maybe if you don't mind, I just want to say something about small things. Sometimes are really important. A long time ago, and I'm talking about more than 50 years ago, I was working in the basement of a building, doing the programming, and there was no windows, nothing. And when it got to lunchtime, I wanted to go outside, but I didn't know what to do. Should I go there, what? I didn't know, and I was feeling gloomy. So I got out of the building and stood outside the door and still didn't know what to do. And I thought, okay, there's a bakery. Maybe I'll get something there. But when I stood at the traffic lights, there was an older couple stopping me, asking me for directions to a shop where their daughter was working. And I was able to tell them, oh, it's easy. It's just that block there. They were about 200, 300 yards away from the shop. And they said, thank you, turned around, they went their way, and suddenly, like I said, the sun was shining, the birds were tweeting. I was feeling so uplifted. Just by that small thing, somebody had use of me. It was so simple, so small. Now, that has happened more than once in my life, but that's the first one that I remember. And I really believe that one should not, one should realize that the small things in life are very important as well. It's good and well to say, okay, I have this plan and I have this rituals, which is good, and whatever to pick me up in the morning, to make me sleep at night, but never forget the small things, because they, in their own right, they do the same for you.
I totally agree. I try I try and every day. Now I'm going to go to Manchester today, so I'm going to leave here, get in my car, go to the train station, get on a train, go meet Dylan. Without a doubt, I will have shared a moment with at least minimum one. It could be up to 5 or 10, but I'll have a moment. I really enjoy it. I love meeting people. So at some point, if someone needs help, I will always stop and say, "Can I help you?" And when I've needed help, no one does that. I'm doing every day. I remember I was carrying some stuff last week from outside here, massive bed. I was like, really struggling. Loads of people walked past, not one person stopped. I've never, and I can honestly say this, I've never not stopped. Because what I would do is I'd walk past and I think, oh, do they need a help? I keep going and I think, they might need my help. I turn round because I cannot walk away. I just cannot. Yeah. You know what I mean? I turn around, come back, and sometimes you don't need it. But when you offered, it wasn't the fact the help would have been taken, but they just feel good that someone offered. And it's always in that little moment. So that's such a good point.
Yes.
Hey, thanks a lot for today. Thank you very much. And that was a great final point, and I'll let you know when I put it on. And I will no doubt we will speak again. But thank you so much for doing it. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, brilliant. Have a good day, buddy. I'll speak soon. Thank you very much. See you later.
Bye.